PI Solutions semi-final number 1 for the Formula Ford Festival is about to begin under some lovely dry conditions. It's almost perfect for racing, a little bit windy. And on pole position is Matt Cowley after his win yesterday in the heat number 3. We'll have a really quick chat with him, and alongside him is heat number 1 winner, Gerry Foster. But first of all, Matt, winning your heat yesterday, pole position for the semi-final, this is going pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, it's been great so far. I mean, winning yesterday helps us out a lot, and then starting pole today is going to puts us in a strong position for the final, definitely.
So Matthew Cowley starts on pole position, the man who won Heat 3. Gerry Foster, Heat 1 winner alongside. Then Keith Donegan and Luke Cooper. Josh Smith and Jamie Thorburn, row 3 from Sebastian Melrose and Jordan Dempsey. James Rowe Jr. row 5 with Conor Murphy. Jason Cooper on row 6 with Jonathan Kotick. Then Klaus-Dieter Hackel and Miles Johnston. Peter Gillespie and Aaron Jeanson. Adam Quatermain next from Dean Venter and Adam Fathers. Peter Daly 20th. Vincent J on row 11 with Oki Luba. Then Sam Street, Henry Campbell on the outside of row 12. Row 13, Nicholas Gibson and Olaf Schult. Kenny Cowie on row 14 with Andrew McGregor. Kevin Donnelly, 29th on the grid. Completing the grid is John Miller in car 212. The Van Diemen RF 89, 20th in heat 2. The lights are out and we are Formula Ford racing for semi-final 1, sponsored by NCPI Solutions. And we're looking at the back end of Josh Smith's car. So Josh Smith coming under pressure, on board with the Team USA Scholarship runner Aaron Jeanson on the outside line. He's looking to try and get stuck into the mix as well, but out front, Matt Cowley in black and yellow leading Gerry Foster. Cowley's heat was the faster of the 3. I'm wondering really whether Gerry Foster got caught out having the wetter heat, therefore was slower, and problems for Oki Luba, who is stuck at Druids on the outside line. Whether he got forced wide or not is another matter. He's going to require some assistance to get pushed out of the gravel as we watch James Rowe Jr. in green chasing Jordan Dempsey. Dempsey starting 8th. Rowe starting in 9th position on the grid, just ahead of Jonathan Kotick, Conor Murphy and Jason Cooper as they go across the line. There is Kotick in the mix in the Team USA Scholarship car, who goes to the outside line. Jamie Thorburn's getting stuck in the 150 car. Jamie in the Ray, as most of the leading Scottish racers are Ray-based. You saw Marshall darting back to safety, still trying to deal with Oki Luba's car. Now, if it requires a little bit more effort to move, the race officials might do a safety car. That might not help Matthew Cowley out front. So Cowley's still the race leader. 3rd position at the moment is Keith Donegan. On board with Jamie Thorburn, looks at the inside line here of Jordan Dempsey, tries to sneak through, there isn't room, bang! Into the Armco on the run up to Druids. That's a nasty hit and a sad way for Thorburn's race to come to an end. He'll join Luba on the sidelines of this first semi-final. He's out of the car, he's safe, that's the main thing. Still the race leader though at the moment is Matthew Cowley, the pole position man, and you can see Keith Donegan there in 3rd place starting to put pressure on Gerry Foster. Some good dicing going on in behind with Luke Cooper in 6th. Josh Smith is there as well. Cooper showing a real good turn of speed in this first semi-final. And of course the key thing for the drivers is to move up as far as they can to get a decent position in the final. So Gerry Foster, the race leader, won the heat. He's overcome Matt Cowley in this one. We're on board with the Team America Scholarship runner Aaron Jeanson, who's running inside the top 10. It's a great performance for him on his first outing here at Brands Hatch this year. But it's Gerry Foster, the Cornishman, outright festival winner back in 2003. I think he won the Kent Festival as well in 2004, but he's going to be chasing a second outright festival win. And the reason I think he started on the outside of the front row rather than pole position is that he had the first of the heats, and the track I think was a little bit wetter for those. Perfect conditions today though on day 2 of our racing here, and he takes the NCPI Solutions semi-final from Matt Cowley. Keith Donegan 3rd, Luke Cooper 4th from Josh Smith, Jason Cooper 6th, then Sebastian Melrose, Jonathan Kotick 8th from Aaron Jeanson, then Peter Gillespie in 10th place, Adam Quatermain 11th from Kenny Cowie and Dean Venter, James Rowe Jr 14th, Miles Johnston next from Vincent J, Klaus-Dieter Hackel from Conor Murphy, then Adam Fathers and Sam Street, Nicholas Gibson, Henry Campbell, Kevin Donnelly, Andrew McGregor, John Miller and Peter Daly complete the finishes.
NCPI Solutions semi-final 1 winner, Gerry Foster. We spoke before. That didn't go exactly according to plan. You wanted to get him early and go, but it was a fight.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the lights just held for slightly longer than I was anticipating, so I just missed the start. Ended up dropping, well, staying in second, dropping back to third after a bit of a battle, but we worked our way back up, so really pleased with that.
Matt, well done. Still in the hunt to win this festival final. A great drive. I thought at one point you were going to win it, then a small mistake put you on your back foot.
Yeah, unfortunately I was struggling with the gearbox a bit, so coming down to second for clearways I kept on missing it, which almost put me back to third at one point, but managed to hold off and then showed good pace and managed to catch Gerry towards the end, but just didn't quite have the extra few laps that I needed to give him a really good run.
The NCPI Solutions semi-final number 2 is about to begin, and again conditions are absolutely perfect for racing. And on pole position, Chris Middlehurst, this is a really good opportunity for you, isn't it? Pole position for the semi-final, perfect conditions, this could go well.
Yeah, absolutely. The track's consistently dry today, which makes things a little bit easier with the setup and things. But yeah, on pole, win yesterday, so let's try and continue the progress and yeah, try and lead from the offset and keep it out in the front.
Here's the grid for the second semi. Chris Middlehurst on pole position. Matt around Garrido next from Neil McLennan and Darren Burke. Rory Smith and Ross Martin row 3. Row 4, Noel Robinson and Michael Macpherson. Ben Hurst on row 5 with Henry Chart. David McCulloch and Matt Part on row 6. John Ferguson with Matthew Chisholm on row 7. Then it's Mark Armstrong and Thomas Johansson. Pair of Van Diemen's there. The ray of Jack Kemp next from Jason Down. Then Michael Eastwell and Thomas Cranecore, followed by Dan Rene Larson, the Dane. Ollie Plale, Julian Vandervoort next from Fraser Gray. Derek M. Daly and Mario Sarche, row 13. Andrew Kenneth Schofield ahead of Kevin Bottomley, Innes Hickman and James Chapman. So the NCPI Solutions second semi-final about to get underway. The lights are on and out they go. Relatively quick turnaround by the starting team here and a good start by all concerned. Quick off the mark there is Henry Chart in the red Van Diemen, and on board with Ben Hurst, who's looking to try and get on terms with him. Those two started side by side and heading up into and off the circuit. That's Thomas Johansson, makes a very early exit into the gravel. Johansson won't be going through to the final unless now he's got another chance in the last chance race later on. Having a good look there at Darren Burke was Scottish champion Ross Martin. This is the car in front of Ross. Ross in the red car with the yellow stripes. He's challenging hard with Noel Robinson right in behind, the Ulsterman in the 55 machine. And things getting very competitive for a lot of these drivers. Of course, when you get into the semis, having come from separate heats, it's your first chance to race against some of these drivers in this meeting. Some of the drivers might have raced against each other all year, but when you've got the Europeans coming over, the Northern Irish lads, the Southern Irish lads and the Scots, and they all mix up. And hello, somebody's got off there at Paddock Hill Bend. Paddock catching people out as ever. You can see the car of Thomas Johansson was pushed off to safety by the marshals without the need for a safety car. So wonderful rescuing and marshalling as ever. Good battle going on here, isn't there? With Noel Robinson looking to put the pressure on Darren Burke in his Van Diemen. Let's see whether Noel's going to have a look up the inside line along Cooper Straight and into Surtees. Burke comes across. I think he realises that Robinson is close, but not close enough to make an attack. Sometimes if you go wide into clearways here, which is I guess the traditional racing line, you can leave the door open but you get a better run, and that's why the Brands Hatch Indy circuit is such a great track. As we ride on board with Neil McLennan, Scottish champion from last year, won the Mazda Road to Indy ticket to go out for the scholarship in America last year, and the winner of the festival will get one of those as well this year. And McLennan goes through. McLennan passes Middlehurst, who left the door open at Crown Hill Bend, and it's a 4-car battle for the race lead. Incredible stuff. McLennan leads, Middlehurst second, then it's Matt round Garrido in third place. Fourth position is Noel Robinson. It's a quartet for the lead. Absolutely amazing. Darren Burke is in fifth place. Then I think it's Rory Smith, but it's McLennan, the Scot, who goes across the line in lead position. He's going to set himself up here for a front row in the Formula Ford Festival final for 2013 if he can hold on to the lead. We're looking ahead from Ben Hurst. Ben still running just outside the top 10. That was Julian van der Voort ahead of him. Neil McLennan, closing stages of the race, closing down. I think that's Mario Sarche in the 1986 Reynard immediately ahead of him. But McLennan is going to book a front row start in the festival final. The Scot in the Ray has done a superb job here, pounced on Chris Middlehurst, only needed the one opportunity, but went through, and he's pulled away. Sarche's going to get another lap. McLennan wins semi-final 2, Chris Middlehurst second. Matt Round-Garrido is third from Darren Burke and Rory Smith, Henry Chart 6, and Noel Robinson, David McCulloch, Michael Macpherson, Julian van der Voort in 10th place. 11th goes to Ben Hurst from John Ferguson and Ross Martin. Michael Eastwell ahead of Matthew Parr. Then it's Jack Kemp and Matt Chisholm. Jason Down 18th, Mark Armstrong and Fraser Gray next up from Kevin Bottomley, Dan Rene Larson, Derek M. Daly and Mario Sarche in 24th. Then Innes Hickman, James Chapman and Terry Walkingshaw.
NCPI Solutions semi-final number 2 winner and pole position with the fastest race overall, so pole position for the main final. Neil McLennan, wow, mega drive.
Thank you very much, Joe. Yeah, great drive there. Just absolutely delighted with that race. Got a really good battle from start to near enough the end with Chris. Made a few passes at the start at Green Hill, but just didn't quite work out.
Chris, mature drive. That could be a festival winning, setting you up for a festival win. You could have done something rash there to keep him behind you or even to come back at him.
Yeah, it's a really difficult situation. I led off the line there and for quite a lot of the race, but when someone's right behind you, you've got to defend. But at the same time, if he's going to start, putting moves on you, you've got to be, you've got to finish the race at the end of the day, and that's you've got to start for the final. So second row for the final. Let's see what we can do from there.
Formula Ford Festival final is about to begin. This is what the last 2 days of hard work has been leading up to, this grid here, and it's Neil McLennan on pole position. The young Scot, his first pole position here at the festival, and Neil is fairly calm, but look at Dad. Have a look there. Look how nervous Dad is. Very nervous, but Neil himself is reasonably cool inside the car. And Neil, we've spoken a lot over the weekend, and we've just said, to get here, you've had to work so hard. You're not here by chance. It's genuine pace. You can win this race.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. Yeah, we've been here since Wednesday, trying our damn hardest just to get great times and just make good pace, So, no, I'm just absolutely delighted with the outcome so far and how I've got here. So, we're going to give it all our best for the final and see where it takes us. But no, we're definitely going to go try for the win.
Who's going to win the ticket to the Mazda Road to Indy? Neil McLennan on pole, Gerry Foster alongside Chris Middlehurst and Matthew Cowley, row 2, Matt Round-Garrido and Keith Donegan, row 3. Darren Burke with Luke Cooper on the 4th row. 5th row, Rory Smith and Joshua Smith. Henry Chart with Jason Cooper on row 6. They're followed by Noel Robinson and Sebastian Melrose. David McCulloch and Jonathan Kotick on row 8. Row 9, Michael Macpherson and Aaron Jeanson. Julian van der Voort and Peter Gillespie, row 10, followed by Ben Hurst and Adam Quartermain. John Ferguson with Kenny Cowie on row 12. Row 13 from the last chance race, James Rowe Jr., Ross Martin, Michael Eastwell and Dean Venter, Klaus Dieter Hackel and Vincent J. Klaus Dieter Hackel doing well to come through in one of the older cars, probably the oldest car on the grid. Makes it through via the last chance race. We're underway in racing, on board with Ross Martin from row 13, second in the last chance race. Here's Ben Hurst from row 11, 2 rows ahead of Ross, right in the mix. Peter Gillespie in yellow is being chased now by James Rowe Jr., who's making good progress round the outside line. Aaron Jensen goes through on the inside line of one of his colleagues. I think that was the car of Jonathan Kotick, who ran a little bit wide there. And now we're on board with Darren Burke. Darren starting in 7th position, inside of the 4th row, with Luke Cooper alongside him off the start. But it's the young Scot that still leads them. What a superb sight they make. Rory Smith in the red 45, the Van Diemen going through. But it's the Ray of Neil McLennan out front. Look at this mid-order battling going on. Some fine racing. David McCulloch in the 28 on the outside line. Aaron Jeanson having a look through on the inside line. Who's going to make it? Bang! They clatter wheels. That's not going to do the cars any favours. Certainly some very physical racing going on there. Michael Macpherson is up ahead. He's been very impressive in the Scottish Championship, Michael, this year, and running well in the 18 car. Qualified well, came through to the final, started on row 9 of the grid. 1-2-4 car Chris Middlehurst up ahead of Matthew Cowley, and in behind them we've got the young Irishman Keith Donegan trying to come through. Gerry Foster still busy at the moment chasing pole position man Neil McLennan, but look at this battle. Are we going to see Donegan attack the outside line? Cowley's on the inside, Chris Middlehurst on the outside line. Some very good battling going on at the sharp end of things as we ride on board with Ben Hurst once again. Hurst looking on the outside line of Adam Quartermain in the 44. The yellow car's got a skew in front. Bang! Oh dear. That was Peter Gillespie in the yellow car. I hope both drivers are okay. It looks like they are. They're very robust machines. Both of the cars involved there. The Ray chassis built in Croydon by Gavin Ray. The company, of course, going back to the days of the lovely man Bert Ray, who started the company. As the battling continues, surely we're going to get a safety car with all that going on, but the race leaders haven't reached that point on the circuit just yet. And a big pack, you can see the yellow flags are out. The two drivers are out of the car, which is exceptional news. And there's confirmation that we do indeed get the 2017 festival under safety car conditions. Here's a replay. Massive incident. You can see how much head shaking. That's why you have to wear a hands device in racing. And Ben Hurst, who's given us some great onboard shots here, sadly out of the race with Peter Gillespie. A lot of damage, but hopefully those guys will be fit and well. Getting ready for the restart of the festival, and still in front, it's Neil McLennan. Right behind him, a man who's been at the sharp end of things before, of course, in the festival. Ready for the restart. Good restart by McLennan. Read that very well indeed. And Gerry Foster, who started on the outside of the second row, is back in second position. And McLennan has started to build a little bit of a lead as we ride on board with Darren Burt once again coming up the hill. The sun getting low in the sky. A little bit of cloud coverage at the moment, keeping the sun out of their eyes. But as they come down Graham Hill, it's McLennan, then Gerry Foster, Matt Cowley, Chris Middlehurst, Keith Donegan running in 5th place. 6th position is Darren Burt. And they go along Cooper Straight, greeted by the green flag, so racing very well underway now. And Gerry Foster, well, if there was an advantage at the restart for the Scot, that's gone. And look at Foster nibbling away at the back end of the 25 car. McLennan is under pressure, and Foster here, he'd love to get his ticket for the Scholarship in America. On board with Scottish champion Ross Martin. Ross making good progress through the field, started on row 13. And he's up into the top 20, so he's made good progress. Here we come then, we've had a change of lead. There is the man who did hold the lead, the 25 car of Neil McLennan. He's down behind Matt Cowley at the moment, and Cowley in turn is busy chasing Keith Donegan. We said the sun was low in the sky. When you come through onto the main straight into paddock, blue skies, the sun right behind us, the shadows getting long as we continue to ride on board with Darren Burke, and we've got somebody ahead of us. It's Matt Cowley. So Matt Cowley has possibly lost a podium position there. Cowley was wide, but he kept his foot in. He's still in the race, but he's lost ground. Let's take stock of where we are. Gerry Foster is the race leader, riding into the sun, heading west here, of course, along Cooper Straight into the sun. Difficult for the drivers to see. Chris Middlehurst coming under pressure from Matt Cowley, then our onboard man, Darren Burke, running in that mix as well. Down by Darren Burke is in 8th place is Noel Robinson, then Matt Round-Garrido, but it's Gerry Foster out front. And Joey could continue the trend here of being a second-year winner. We've had 2 of those the last 2 years. Niall Murray, who won it in 2013, won it in 2016, and Wayne Boyd won it in 2015 and in 2008. So I wonder if we'll have another second-year winner next year in the festival. As it is, it's Gerry Foster leading. Keith Donegan, the young Irish racer, came up through the Ginetta Junior Formula, his first car racing formula, and was an absolute star in that. He's bringing all his experience into Formula Ford. But Gerry Foster, the Cornishman, look at the car control through clearways, absolutely spot on. by Foster. Donegan, though, has got the fastest lap on lap 12, and he's closing him down. Donegan closing, but whether there's going to be enough time to get on the gearbox of the race leader, let alone maybe make a challenge. Neil McLennan still fighting gamely in third place. His countryman Ross Martin still getting stuck in as well. Martin chasing Henry Chart for 15th place at the moment. Martin, remembers, come up from 26 on the grid, so a fine race for him. But still out front, it's Gerry Foster. Let's see whether Donegan can close down. Donegan's got breathing space over McLennan in third. Josh Smith's running in fourth place in the Black Zero car. So Smith in fourth, then Middlehurst. Matt Cowley is in sixth place after his moment off, and look at Donegan now really piling the pressure on in the closing stages of the race. Donegan in the Van Diemen all over the back of the Ray. We've got a Ray in third place as well, but it's the run down to the checkered flag, and Gerry Foster looks like he's going to take a second overall Formula Ford Festival win. He does. Foster wins. Donegan in second, Neil McLennan third, Josh Smith fourth from Chris Middlehurst, Matt Cowley in sixth, then Darren Burke and Noel Robinson. Matt Garrido ninth from Jason Cooper in 10th, 11th goes to Jonathan Kotick, the USA driver, performing well. Julian van der Voort next from Aaron Jeanson, then Luke Cooper and Henry Chart, Ross Martin 16th, Rory Smith 17th, Michael Eastwell, then Sebastian Melrose, James Rowe Jr., Adam Quartermain, Dean Venter, John Ferguson and Vincent Jay completing the 24 race finishers. Fastest lap, Keith Donegan.
Gerry Foster, well done, festival winner. I'm going to be all smug and say I had a feeling. I didn't really, to be honest, but I knew your experience was going to pay off.
Yeah, I had to count on it really. I wanted to get the good start and get away, just like I did in the semi, but it wasn't to happen. So had a race with Neil, and he was defending so hard everywhere. I thought I've got to make a move here, and I've got to make it count. So got to run into paddock and thought, well, let's have a go here, and made it stick. So probably one of the best moves I've actually made in Formula Ford. So blinded, absolutely chuffed with that.
Keith, what a turnaround in your racing over the last couple of years. I mean, you almost won the festival final just there. It was so close at the end, but even though you didn't, still a great result.
Yeah, it was a good result. I'm happy with that. Like, from sixth, I couldn't really ask for much more. Obviously, it's the festival, winner takes all. It's all or nothing in that last race. So I made moves that you wouldn't usually make, like into Graham Hill, down the inside. I made a move and it stuck. It's great racing against Joey and Neil. I've raced against Neil a good lot this year, and he's pipped me every time. So it was good to actually beat him to second this time. But no, I'm happy with that. It was a good race.
Well, unfortunately, that's all we have time for from the 2017 Formula Ford Festival. But what a thrilling final we were treated to. Well done to Gerry Foster. 14 years since he last won this event. Make sure you tune in next time for more high-speed action. Welcome to Brands Hatch in Kent for the 46th running of the prestigious Formula Ford Festival. This is the one that they all want to win. It's held over 2 days, heats leading to 2 semi-finals, and then the grand final at the end of the weekend. This race has been won by people such as Anthony Davidson, Mark Webber and Jenson Button. Let's find out who's going to add their name to that list in 2017. Tech Security Heat 1 for the Formula Ford Festival is lined up behind me, almost ready to go, and conditions couldn't be any trickier for this. The circuit was almost bone dry, and we've just had a downpour of rain. The surface is pretty much completely wet, but the sun is shining, just typical conditions. On pole position for the first heat is Gerry Foster. Joey, a really experienced man in single-seater racing in general, but certainly in Formula Ford. I might be putting my foot in it here and saying you've never won the festival, you're more of a Walter Hayes specialist.
No, we did win the festival in 2003. but it's that was a long time ago.
This is a really good start for you, pole position for the first heat, but this is a really strong heat. You've got some really quick guys behind.
Absolutely, it's never easy in Formula Ford, and we're just going to try and get a good start, get a head down and disappear, but I don't think it's going to be that easy.
Good luck, try to enjoy it.
Thank you.
And with that, I'll hand it to Richard. Formula Ford, Heat 1, heading out on track.
Thanks very much indeed, Joe. Gerry Foster on pole position with Ross Martin, Neil McLennan and Luke Williams row 2, Josh Smith and Ben Hurst next up from Jordan Dempsey and Matthew Parr on row 4. Row 5, Jason Cooper and Mark Armstrong, Felix Fisher and Miles Johnston next from Adam Quartermain and Jason Down. James Goins and Peter Daly on row 8. Row 9, Fraser Gray and Dan Rene Larson. Andrew Keith Schofield from Sam Street. Then it's Olaf Schult, James Chapman, Steve Venter and Kevin Donnelly. And the grid completed by Jim Campbell in his Mondial. So 25 cars qualifying, and that's only a third of the entry. We've got 3 heats, and it's a massive entry. Look at that, and away they go. In black, the Cornishman, Gerry Foster, leads them away here on the Indy circuit at Brands Hatch for the 2017 Formula Ford Festival, on board with Neil McLennan. And looking around the outside line there was the man who followed Neil McLennan as Scottish champion, and that's Ross Martin. Martin is, in fact, though, he's in the red and yellow car, down in 5th place. So Martin getting usurped there by, I think, Josh Smith amongst others, but the race leader is Gerry Foster. As the field, as you can see, Joe mentioned that we've had a little bit of rain and it's going to affect the early laps of this race. On board with McLennan in 2nd place, Scottish champion in 2016, Neil McLennan, but Foster is showing some very good pace indeed out front at the moment. Here's Ross Martin in car number 11, and behind him the 49 machine of Jordan Dempsey, the Van Diemen as well. Several age categories of cars represented throughout the festival. McLennan goes through. That looks like a problem for somebody. Problem for McLennan if he's got the same vision on his visor as well. So on to the closing stages of this one. Adam Quartermain is coming under pressure from the leader. Adam running in 11th place. Gerry Foster will be looking to try and get through. He's got a couple of cars between himself and Neil McLennan, who's still in 2nd place. And watch for Foster in black. He's going to tee up the inside line, comes off that drying line and looks up the inside to go into Surtees. Safely past Adam Quartermain. Good driving from both competitors as they go now through McLaren and up into clearways for the last time of this Camtech Security backed Formula Ford Festival Heat 1. It's going to be Gerry Foster who's going to take the checkered flag and put himself at the front of the grid for one of the semi-finals. Here he comes. Incidentally, it was Luke Williams who had the problem earlier on, the champion of several titles this year. Foster wins from McLennan, Smith, Martin, Dempsey, Hurst, Cooper, Matthew Parr 8th, Miles Johnston next from Mark Armstrong. Gerry Foster getting fastest lap. Adam Quartermain in 11th from Jason Down and Peter Daly. Dan Rene Larson next from Sam Street. Fraser Gray, Olaf Schult, then Andrew Kenneth Schofield from Kevin Donnelly and James Chapman, Steve Venter and Jim Campbell completing our finishers for Heat 1. Cars on the grid for Heat 2 here at Brands Hatch. Chris Medalhurst and Jamie Thorburn on row 1. Michael Eastwell and Noel Robinson followed by Darren Burke and James Rowe Jr. Keith Donegan and Peter Gillespie are on row 4. Immediately behind them, Dean Venter and Team USA man Jonathan Kotick. Keith Wood and Kenny Cowie next from John Ferguson and Henry Chart. Thomas Johansson and Vincent J on row 8. Rick Morris and Henry Campbell next from Ollie Playle and Derek M. Daly. Kevin Bottomley and John Miller ahead of Ian McCullough and Ian Geary. The grid completed by the Van Diemen RF78 of Laurie Hughes. So this takes us up to 2/3 of the entry for this year's festival. Medalhurst and Thorburn on the front row. It's a good start by Thorburn, like a slingshot, into the lead from 2nd position on the grid. Chris Medalhurst here has got work to do in 2nd place. He did the hard work in qualifying, but of course you have to build on that with a good start. So it's Thorburn from Medalhurst, James Rowe Jr. in the number 2 car at the moment, running in 4th position, the green car. And we've got Michael Eastwell up in the mix as well. Darren Burke, Noel Robinson, Keith Donegan all in the mix too. Still damp and tricky conditions here for our 2nd heat. And remember, as we go on board with Darren Burke once again, that the heat win doesn't necessarily guarantee a front row for the semi-final. The fastest 2 heats will grab the 2 poles for the semis. The third fastest heat will wind up on row 2 for the semi-final. So more work to do, but out front it's Jamie Thorburn who made a very good start indeed. You can see we've got blue skies, the conditions looking quite good. I think that was Keith Wood in pit lane there, and an early retirement, which is a great shame for Keith. Darren Burke racing hard, qualified in 5th position in his Van Diemen, and a super view of the climb up Halewoods Hill into Druids. It looks like Chris Middlehurst, the 2013 Formula Renault champion, having a look now at Jamie Thorburn for the race lead. Places behind at the moment, relatively settled, and it's going to be interesting to see who grabs fastest lap. More importantly, who's going to win. But Middlehurst looks poised now as they go into Surtees to put the pressure on the young Scot. Thorburn doing a good job though of leading out of McLaren through into Clearways. So on the last lap, the race leader is Chris Middlehurst, having come through. Middlehurst will look at his mirrors and he'll see behind him now it's Keith Donegan, the Irishman, in the number 30 car, but there's traffic to deal with for Middlehurst out front. We'll see whether this is going to fall well for Chris. There he is still in the black and red 124 car. Keith Donegan chasing him hard. Back marking Derek M. Daly right in front of him. The blue flags are waved and Derek is, well, not blocking but not making it easy for the race leader, but ultimately Middlehurst gets through. I think Keith Donegan's going to go through as well, but this win looks like Middlehurst's race win. Donegan's got the fastest lap. That was on the penultimate tour. So Donegan, I think, is going to hang on to fastest lap, but Heat 2 is going to be won by Chris Middlehurst. Middlehurst takes the win. Donegan second. Oh, and problems. Off into the gravel goes the 92 car of Michael Eastwell. The race result: Middlehurst, Donegan, Darren Burke, Jamie Thorburn, Noel Robinson next from James Rowe Jr. and Henry Chart, Jonathan Kotick, John Ferguson and Peter Gillespie wrapping up the top 10. Then Thomas Johansson, Dean Venter, Michael Eastwell from Vincent J, Ollie Plough, Henry Campbell, Derek M. Daly, Kenny Cowie, Kevin Bottomley, John Miller in 20th. Finishes completed by Ian McCullough, Ian Gerry and Laurie Hughes in 23rd. It was indeed a problem for Keith Wood going into the pits at the end of lap 1. The third and final heat lines up with the Ray of Jake Byrne on pole position from the Van Diemen of Matthew Cowley. Matt Round-Garrido next from Aaron Jeanson. Then it is Luke Cooper and Rory Smith, Sebastian Melrose and Klaus-Dieter Hackel on row 4. Row 5, Michael Macpherson and Jack Kemp. Connor Murphy from Stuart Kestenbaum, and then Matthew Chisholm and Thomas Crancore. Julian van der Watt and Oki Luber. Adam Fathers on row 9 with Nicholas Gibson, Mario Sarche and Andrew McGregor next from Innes Hickman and Simon Proust. Terry Walkingshaw and Oliver White on row 12. The grid completed by David McCullough. So on the grid, Ray from Van Diemen, Medina Sport, Ray, Swift and Van Diemen. A very good mix of Formula Fords. That's what the festival is about. Away we go. Very quick start from 6 on the grid. That's Rory Smith in red, on board with AJ. Aaron Jeanson, the Team USA Scholarship runner. It's got a busy circuit in front of him. And, well, Rory made up one place there through the inside line, going on the outside now. And AJ looking back up the inside line as they get to Druids. The leaders are Byrne from Cowley. Round-Garrido is in 3rd place. Good sort out on lap 1, that's the German. Klaus-Dieter Hackel going wide, and Klaus-Dieter busy challenging Sebastian Melrose, who started in 7th place. Klaus-Dieter in 8th place on the grid as we ride with the Team USA Scholarship runner Aaron Jeanson chasing hard. As I said, a very, very rich European flavour, as well as the Americans racing this weekend. Now, one of the Europeans is busy chasing the number 5 car there. Adam Fathers being chased in yellow. Oki Luber, followed by Julian van der Watt. Then Mario Sarche in the distinctive Reynard with the red roll hoop looking down the inside line. The 42 car Van der Watt has got his own problems, I think, on the outside line. So a really good battle going on just outside the top 10 between these. And the Reynard looks around the outside. We've got an onboard view of that now. Watch to the left and we'll see whether the Reynard of Mario Sarche can complete the move. Yes, he does, as they go up into Druids. Sarche there in the number 8 Reynard, being chased hard there by Nick Gibson in the classic Crossley 40F. Wonderful looking, they're all wonderful looking Formula Fords, but the classics still managed to mix it with the contemporary machines, which is incredible. This is the battle for third place. Matt Brown-Garrido is there at the moment, and hanging on to that from Luke Cooper. On to the last lap. It's Matthew Cowley leading. We've lost Jake Byrne. That was back on lap 10, so it's Cowley who's going to win Heat 3 by the look of it. Matt Brown-Garrido in the Medina Sport second, so it's Van Diemen, Medina Sport second, Swift in third. Van Diemen fourth with Rory Smith. The top ray is Sebastian Melrose. In fifth place, across the line goes Matthew Cowley to take the win. Brown-Garrido second, Cooper in third, Rory Smith fourth from Sebastian Melrose, Michael Macpherson sixth, then Conor Murphy and David McCulloch from Klaus-Dieter Hackel. Matthew Chisholm completing the top 10. Aaron Jeanson in 11th from Jack Kemp and Adam Fathers. Thomas Cranecore next. Oki Luber from Julian van der Vogt. Then Nicholas Gibson and Mario Sarche. Andrew McGregor, Innes Hickman, Simon Pruce and Terry Walkingshaw 22nd. He completes the list of finishers. Fastest lap, Jake Byrne.
The Haynes Watts Historic Formula Ford Festival final is about to begin behind me under what is pretty much perfect conditions now. And on pole position, we have Mark Armstrong in this lovely RF80. Mark, pole position, historic festival final. Is there a better place to be than that?
No, the festival's special, isn't it? It's one of those yearly events you just count the days down to. So I just hope we can do them proud. The boys have done a good job today. We've been pretty competitive. Obviously quite a bit of newer machinery behind me, but we'll give it our best shot.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to mention. Is this going to be a race of driving in your mirrors, or do you think you can break away?
I'm not so sure about the breaking away. I need a tow as much as I can in this. The old aerodynamics are not up to speed, but we'll do what we can, and once we can stay in the pack, I think we've got a fair chance towards the end.
Enjoy.
Thank you very much.
And with that, I'll hand it to Richard for the historic Formula Ford Festival final.
Thank you, Joe. Pole position to Mark Armstrong from Klaus-Dieter Hackel, Kevin Bottomley and Conor Murphy on row 2. Then it's Mario Sarche and Nicholas Gibson from Innes Hickman, and Henry Campbell completing the top 8. 9th on the grid, Andrew McGregor. Then John Miller, Peter Daly in the Royale, Oki Luber on the outside of row 6 from Ollie Playle and Ian McCullough, Steve Venter and Ian Gerry. Then Jim Campbell, Laurie Hughes and Felix Fisher in his Reynard completing the lineup. So the historic Formula Ford Festival final, sponsored by Haynes Watts, about to get underway. Some mouth-watering machinery on the grid from really golden age of Formula Ford over the years. We'll try to tell you a bit about the cars and where they fit into this wonderful history. Super start from 4th position, that's Conor Murphy, who launches himself up towards the top 2, but it's Klaus-Dieter Hackel. A lock up there from Mark Armstrong was there. He's gone off and he's taken 116 Conor Murphy with him. So the Mondial and the Van Diemen are out. I think we might have a Reynard out as well. Mario Sarche, the race leader, though, is Klaus-Dieter Hackel, who's getting away. It is Hickman running in 2nd place in the number 19 Van Diemen, the 1989 built car. Making progress there in 26 is Felix Fisher, the yellow Reynard, going through, climbing his way through from the back of the field. Now, are we going to get a safety car here? Klaus-Dieter Hackel's the race leader, battle on for 2nd. Peter Daly in blue, having a look, the Royale RP21. That's the type of car that won the 1975 festival at Snetterton, the last of the Snetterton festivals. And Daly does a super job, but handle off, the safety car's out. Daly getting the manoeuvre completed before I think they got to the yellows, so he holds 2nd position, and the safety car is scrambled. Such a shame that we have the safety car, and such a shame that we've lost 3 very competitive drivers and cars. And there is the Van Diemen RF80. Those of you perhaps like me who watched the Champion of Brands Championship in the mid-1980s will have seen that car driven by, or that design of car driven by many of the stars of that era. Ollie Playle in the Hawk is in the mix as well. We're currently looking at number 10 car. It's Andrew McGregor in the 1986 Van Diemen. But the car I was going to talk about was the 133 Hawk DL19 of Ollie Playle. Great to see Ollie racing again. I had the pleasure of commentating on Ollie in the Days of Thunder Championship in years gone by. Must be getting on a few years ago now, but Ollie racing in the Hawk. It was the DL17 of Derek Daly that won the first Brands Hatch Festival in 1976. So wonderful to have these names. And we've talked about Van Diemen and Reynard, Royale, Crossley. We've got the Eldon of Ian Gerry in the mix as well. So the safety car lights are out and we're getting ready for the restart. Klaus-Dieter Hackel has the work to do once again with Innes Hickman busy chasing the blue Royale of Peter Daly. Klaus-Dieter Hackel gets away well, as we would expect him to do. So the German leads them into paddock for the first time on the restart. Making progress is Felix Fischer. There was a flash of yellow looking up the inside as they went into paddock, and I think Felix is up into 4th place. Klaus-Dieter Hackel though pulling away. Felix Fischer up into 2nd. We saw a flash of yellow in the back. He's got the fastest lap of the race coming through from the back of the grid, but it's Klaus-Dieter Hackel who salutes as he goes across the line to take the Haynes Watts historic Formula Ford Festival. He wins. Felix Fischer in 2nd. Peter Daly 3rd from Stuart Kestenbaum and Henry Campbell. Ian Gerry 6th from Innes Hickman and Kevin Bottomley. Andrew McGregor 9th. Steve Venter completing the top 10, and the finishers completed by Laurie Hughes. Fastest lap to Felix Fischer.
Dieter, you must have been so upset when the safety car came out because you had such a massive gap after the melee at the first corner.
Yeah, but that's only lucky with the crash, yeah. But after the safety car, I can go a little gap, and then Felix is very strong. But I have a look in my mirror for the gap and have a look for my car for the last change race. The festival is a long race, long weekend, so I must give my very best with my car. I need the car, so I'm happy to win the race.
Brands Hatch always throws up one of those funny things at Paddock Hill. I lost it in the Classic yesterday morning, going from 10th to dead last. Today I went from 11th to 2nd. Safety car out. I got my mind in gear. I mean, I've not sat in a car for a year. Yesterday morning was the first time. And the car prepared by Dave Morgan from Mallory Park is awesome.
Lining up on the grid is the Avon Tyres Masters Formula Ford race in pretty much perfect conditions. It's a little bit windy. I'll hand it to Richard and he'll take us through all the action.
John Ferguson on pole. Simon Jackson lines up alongside. Henry Chart on row 2, Miles Johnston next from Rick Morris and Thomas Johansson. Peter Daly and Stuart Kestenbaum on row 4. Derek M. Daly next from James Buckton and Kevin Bottomley. John Miller 12th. Ian McCullough and Jim Campbell on row 7. Row 8, Ollie Plale and Jake Byrne. Then it's Terry Walkingshaw, Sam Pruce and Keith Wood completing the grid. So whereas our previous race was looking at the classic machinery as well as, of course, the drivers, this really Masters race about the drivers that have a bit of history themselves with the festival. And it's John Ferguson starting on pole position. We're getting ready for lights out. There's a gap actually where Rick Morris should have been, immediately behind Henry Chart, who we ride on board with. Good start by Simon Jackson in 2nd, slots the Javelin into 2nd, but it's the spectrum of John Ferguson that leads them into paddock. Henry Chart on the outside line gets up into 2nd and the outside of Simon Jackson. So good move by Henry, and he's on the outside line coming up to Druids, challenging for the lead. Superb Formula Ford racing here. This is what it's about at the home of Formula Ford, Brands Hatch, on the Indy circuit. Thomas Johansson is running in 4th place. 5th position is Peter Daly, and we can see drivers starting to work their way through the field. So we might expect a bit of a shake-up. A good healthy field again for the Masters this year. Simon Jackson, the pre-82 Javelin JL5, running well. Thomas Johansson has a look on the inside line there, but unable to do anything. Peter Daly in his Royal RP21, the pre-82 car, has a look. Johansson switches to the outside line now to try and get past the Treble 1 machine. Wide into Paddock Hill Bend to try and make the pass. That's exactly what Henry Chart is doing as well. Henry having a very good look there. John Ferguson driving a very good race of it at the moment, not overly defensive, but grabbing the line he wants and making Chart work that outside line to try and get past. So superb stuff from the Spectrum out front. John Ferguson, the Clubman post-89 champion of Formula Ford this year, and you can see why. Chart has a little look, thinks about just jinking onto the inside line going up into Surtees, which is the left-hander, first part of this long sweeping right-hander It's McLaren through now into Clearways, Clark Curve, which is where they are now, onto the Bradburn Straight to start another lap. Look at the lines of cars, the outside of the circuit. This event still attracts a huge crowd for the British Racing and Sports Car Club, as Henry Chart again mounts an attack, gets close going into paddock, but the line still covered by John Ferguson, the race leader. The crowd being treated to a super race between those drivers. Miles Johnston in the black car running well and about to challenge for third place. Let's see what Miles can do. Henry Chart's challenging for the lead again, this time on the outside line into paddock. Draws level, they're wheel to wheel. This is so close, and there's contact, and Chart is off into the gravel. It's game over as far as the Masters are concerned for Henry Chart. That was such a shame, a valiant effort for him, but contact between the two cars. Now, is that going to give the race to John Ferguson? Ferguson in the closing stages. We've got Jake Byrne now up into second place. Miles Johnston is there in third. Keith Wood in fourth position. And Ferguson has raced well, but he's had to show all of his mettle defending the lead. Initially, of course, from Henry Chart. He went off on lap 6. Now, Henry's going to be very disappointed, but nonetheless, the crowds have still got a 4-car battle for the lead. So Ferguson holds on to it at the moment, but watch for Jake Byrne. Byrne's going to have a look up the inside. He's slightly tighter coming through Clark Curve. Now goes for the sweep into Paddock Hill Bend on the outside line. Is he going to have enough momentum? Ferguson's really making him work hard here. Bottom of Halewoods, up in towards Druids they go once again. And again, Jake Byrne forced to go around the outside, but nothing doing there. Has to slot back in because Miles Johnston is keen to take second place away, and Keith Wood wants third place as well. Wood makes contact and I think has lost a bit of momentum here. Johnston's going to slot back through into third place. One eye on the lead as well, because Jake Byrne's still challenging for the lead position, which is still held by John Ferguson. What a super scrap going on here for the lead. And look, Johnston's back through. Superb dicing for third place. But it's Ferguson who is coming now down towards the checkered flag. Is he going to hold on? Jake Byrne having another run, but across the line they go. And it's John Ferguson that wins the Avon Tyres Masters from Jake Byrne, Miles Johnston, Keith Wood fourth, then Simon Jackson and Peter Daly. Thomas Johansson seventh from Stuart Kestenbaum. Kevin Bottomley in ninth, James Buckton in 10th place. 11th goes to Ian McCullough, Simon Pruce in 12th and Terry Walkingshaw in 13th.
John Ferguson, you've been around Formula Ford for a while, but that was a great drive. You showed some experience there to hold him off.
Yeah, it was very difficult for there was oil in the track for the last 5 laps, so I was having to stop the car up early and go again, and Jake was a lot quicker, but just kept the lines and stop and go.